One of the effects that comes from the narcissist is being drained, like super drained. When I would visit my parents, my dad would just drain me, and it would be so difficult after a hard day of work and I need to get home and recharge. He would want to go somewhere fucking loud where there's a lot of people moving around, like a restaurant that's very popular, and I'm just thinking, I don't want to be here. I need to go home and sleep. And I would start to have a panic attack. And I do that because I'm checking for my pulse. I'll check for my pulse here or here um, when I can start to feel it coming. And so I'll be out there trying to control a panic attack literally for a couple hours and just try and get back home. And then I would be so depleted that the next day for work I could not recover. If I stayed home, I would have recovered, but it could take 10 days to recover from being so depleted and then being exposed to so much stuff. So he knew this, but he would do it to me anyway. And that's what they do to you is they just drain you. Now, let's say you don't go out. My sister is also a psychopath like my father. And you could be at the house. You could visit her, sit down, want to relax, have a nice meal, have a cold drink, have a beer, and she would be so loud and aggressive, trying to find a fight to pick with you, talking about how you need to do things right with your job that you could specialize in, though she's trying to correct you. And that's what I learned a lot is these narcissists who know absolutely nothing. They'll be extremely ignorant of basic things. They will really just go after you. And please understand this: their goal is to drain you and to stress you out. It gives them a feeling of power and control over someone. And they're very nasty, very evil people. You know, it's the whole do unto others before they do it to you attitude. And that's one of the questions that you probably heard of in psychology. That's one of the questions: do to others before they do it to you. It is what basically defines narcissism. Not defines narcissism. The part of narcissism. Oh, what's it called? You know, oh, gosh, what's it called? I can't remember. Darn it. Anyways, I'm exhausted. I'm not gonna try and remember right now. Anywho, by the time you leave, you will be drained because of that person telling you ignorant stuff that you know is wrong, but they won't take correction from you. It doesn't matter if you're intelligent or if you might even specialize in that field. You might even be an authority or the authority on that field that others look to. You see? And it's just very draining. You know, there's so many different ways the narcissist attempts and does drain their victims. And I think it's important to start touching on different ones, you know, because some people can relate to some and not to others. I've like the way a narcissist will try and make it seem like someone else is a narcissist. For example, very lovely girl on TikTok finally got fed up by an asshole truck driver. So he was being a jerk, tailgating her, which we all know not to do as truck drivers. Safety first and be courteous. So she smiled and flipped him off when he drove by because he was being an asshole. That is not part of her personality. That was a rare thing. So rare that she even told people on TikTok, as far as I don't give a shit. I'm at the I don't give a fuck era of my life. I'm in my don't give a fuck era right now in life. because I just did this. Yeah, and she felt so good to finally be able to let that. Well, what a narcissist would do is, even though that video would be proof that that person is not very narcissistic as far as abusive wise, say, because they did that one thing that one time, that proves that they're a narcissist because narcissists do that. Well, that is very similar to what us healthy minded people will do or empathic people do, but in the opposite. As far as, well, yeah, their narcissistic behavior is consistent. With this girl, it wasn't. It was a one time event in her life. With them, it's consistent, it's every day, and we will look at them and try and dismiss it as far as, well, they had a rough childhood. Or you know, it was my fault that they attacked me in that way because they had a bad day and I was standing in the wrong place in the wrong time. I know I was like that with my ex-wife. It was bad. Now, don't get me wrong, I still corrected her every single time until I got so sick I was bedridden and I couldn't move. But once I started getting up and going again, and she had taken so much space, I started taking it back, letting her know it's like, no, you don't treat me that way. It turned out she had been poisoning my food. But healthy-minded people and empathic people, we need to stop giving people the benefit of the doubt and start accepting their consistent behavior. I'm not in a good place still right now mentally when it comes to judging other people, which you should. You should always judge other people. Otherwise, you're dismissing everything. You're dismissing all the data and you're putting yourself in danger. It's not a place you want to be at all. And you need to be able to have correction in your life. You can't allow things like that to get in the way of your life, bad people. So you always want to judge people off of the data. You have a brain, use it. Don't dismiss something and willingly put yourself in danger until that person causes you more and more harm till all of a sudden you can't escape and you're suffering from extremely severe trauma. That happened to me when I escaped my ex-wife. It was terrible. I still have the flashbacks and everything multiple times a day, hearing her voice screaming at me. I once hallucinated with the um, traumatic events with my father beating me. I was very, very, very small, as far as below my hips, when my dad started beating me with his fist, everything he had. Everything he had. And he was a big, fat, obese man, a white male boomer with a very bad temper. So once I got over that, now I go suffer through it with my ex-wife, probably because it's more recent. But I'll tell you this, it's also difficult because I'm going to be honest, there's not very many good people in the world anymore to interact with. People are so caught up in other issues that they respond unhealthy in an unhealthy way. I found that I am always looking at what is the other person going through. I'm always looking at what other people are going through. Always in my life. Always. I've never not done that. I've always looked at what other people go through. And now for the last, I'll say, decade, especially being in the Midwest, knowing what they're going through and understanding it, they still act in a way that's so completely inappropriate that it's just shocking. Just shocking. And it's true. It's like the worst people in the world really are through in this area of the United States in the Midwest. The worst people. The worst, I'll say the worst 100, maybe 200 people I've ever met are from little spots of the Midwest. Not Wisconsin, not Minnesota, and not really south of Indianapolis. But yeah, the way that the healthy people or the nice people act out here is way worse than the worst people back home in Southern California. So it's getting worse. And you need to stop looking at what other people are going through. Just understand it, but protect yourself. Really protect yourself, especially if you've had a lot of trauma. I've not met or interacted with like actual friends, a healthy minded person in 10 years. since I left California. I've not met another person that's healthy minded that can function normally, that is just capable of doing regular work and thinking for themselves. Oh, don't do the bad thing because it's bad. That's why I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to do the good thing because it's good. So I am going to do it. That is something that's so absolutely out of the ordinary out here in the Midwest that it's shocking. Again, not Wisconsin or Minnesota. I'm up here right now, and I love having my brief interactions with people. I do have one friend up here actually, but he's not from when I moved here. He's from before when I moved up here in Minnesota. Um, anyways, I'm just babbling. My whole point is protect yourself, man. Protect yourself, protect yourself, protect yourself. Put yourself first. And even if you've gone through a lot of trauma and you're in a sensitive place, please understand this. It is very rare to be able to put yourself out there even a little bit for someone. You know, I've been hurt every single time, even when I've accidentally did. The last time I trusted someone and I put myself out there a little, I opened up a little bit just very recently, like a week ago. It came back to harm me immediately, and it's just like, oh wow, that's what I got to remember. That's what it's like up here, you know. Uh, so I mean, I know this is a terrible thing to say, but don't trust anyone. Honest to God, don't trust anyone. I've got my friends that from over a decade ago, and I trust them. Minimal, few, but I trust them. All guy friends. I know I'm not going to be able to meet anyone because of today's day and age as far as partner wise. It's just not going to happen. Even just as a friend, someone who's attractive and female, it's not possible because of the way that they act today. So please trust me because I've really learned, don't, if you put yourself out there like someone else, you're talking to them and it seems like a healing conversation, it will turn rapidly. It honest to God will. Especially if you're a very nice person like me, you're an easy target. And someone might do it, they don't even know why. Who knows why? But please put yourself first, protect yourself first. If you're looking to open up to someone or anything like that, understand the consequences are so very high because the trauma and everything and being drained from the narcissist and abused so much, your mind is in a fragile state that you don't get to control. And a lot of people don't get that. You don't get to control your feelings or the way people make you feel or the things that they've done to you that affects your brain in a certain way. You don't get to control that. What you can do is learn to manage it, manage the trauma, manage the damage, manage the negative feelings. But that's it. You don't get to just choose to not have it be broken because you don't choose the way that your neural pathways in your brain move around or develop in order to give you the feelings that are meant to protect you. Protect yourself, really protect yourself. The next time I find someone and they seem like a nice person, I honest to God, I'm not going to trust them for at least a couple years to open up to them about anything because I just cannot risk any more harm to my psyche. My psyche is not who I am. My psyche is the part of me that's damaged that I need to learn to manage and walk around while I'm trying to live my life and make my decisions and work things out. Anyway, that's all.